5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Eliane Voslav. I will be the host today, and we will be launching a great work called History of Parapsychism, from tribal societies to conscienciology. And I'd like to welcome you all who are listening to us. Thank you very, very much. I want to introduce you to Leonardo Schneider, that is the brother of the author, and he's going to represent the author today. And we are very honored to be here to celebrate this book launch, okay? And what I want to say about this book, and I will show you a beautiful cover. It's wonderful.
This tiny book.
Excuse me?
This tiny book.
This little book here, it's more than 800 pages. Okay, we will be talking about it. And it is a unique moment because it represents many, many years of teamwork. First, to produce the book that was written by João Ricardo Schneider, who unfortunately passed away very young. And we are here to celebrate this moment in his honor, because this is a great work that can help humanity in general. You are going to know why, because we are going to interview the translator of this book and the sponsor of this work, that is Leonardo Schneider, sponsor and give all the energetic support for this to happen, okay? And that's why we are very happy, very thrilled to be in this moment. And just for you who are watching us to know, we are in the USA in the moment during an event called Intermissivists meeting, and that is happening in Kennesaw town in Georgia, called the Peach State. Is that right, Marcelo?
The state, Georgia is it's the Peach State.
Yeah, Georgia is the Peach State. I didn't know about it, and we are here in an amazing event. I'm watching all these faces. We are so happy because we had an amazing weekend, and then we are closing this day with this golden key, with this book launch. And just to mention a little bit more about the book, the project took about 10 years to be developed, the work itself. And this translation took about 2 years to be completed, Marcelo?
It was in total a little bit more than 2 years.
A little bit more than 2 years. And we are going to talk about this today, okay? And the first guest here is Marcelo Pires, that is the lead translator of this work into English. Marcelo was the one who really took the challenge to translate this huge and complex book. Not an easy task, you know. And tonight he will share with us the process. How was this process like? And how he managed to make it happen, right? And also, as I told you, Leonardo Schneider will talk to us about how was the backstage of this work? How was his experience in producing this book? And he knows a lot about the history, how it was produced, because he was very close to his brother, and he will let us know some details that we don't know, okay? So we are eager to know about it. So I will start by asking Leonardo. Tell us, Leonardo, welcome. And
thank you.
What is this book about, right? Tell us about the backstage in which it was produced, and what inspired you to take on this responsibility and bring this project to completion in English.
Thank you very much, Eliane, Marcelo. It's a huge pleasure for me to be here doing this presentation today. And this book explores how the parapsychic phenomena was practiced, interpreted, and in all human history, since the first registers, since the tribal societies until conscienciology and the modern days. And I am representing my brother here today, and it's a very special moment for me and for my family, because this work started in 2003. So it's been 23 years since the starting of this project. And my brother, first of all, he wrote an article about the subject. And then he always liked very much to study the subjects, the history of religions and groups, spiritual groups. And he started to this research in 2003, and it took 15 years to publish the book. So he started in 2003, and the book was published in 2018. So it took 15 years. And the book was launched in December of 2018. And so he spent 15 years studying, researching, writing, and since he launched this book in the end of 2018, he just had 1 year and a half to promote this work, to promote this project. And it was a little time to do that. And he was in a car accident, so he passed away. 1 year and a half later, this published. And it was in 2020. And it took for me almost 4 years to took this responsibility to do this promoting. So I started in the end of 2023 to continue this project and his legacy. And we did a lot of projects on this book. We did some courses in ACIP, and we started to do this translation with Marcelo. He took this responsibility, so I have a special thank to Marcelo here today. And this week I was doing a list to thank all the people that took part in this project and contributed in some way.
That's great. We would like to know.
Today we have 163 people that was involved in this project, in the book, in the course, in the translation, in people that helped with money. So I was impressed with this number, because I didn't have the notion that it was so huge and so many people involved in this project. So today we have 163 people that I can't mention everyone here. It will took all the time of this presentation just reading the names of all these people. But I would like to thank everyone that contributed in some way to this project.
Very nice, great. I will have a question to Marcelo Pires, and then I'll come back to you, okay? Leonardo,
Okay.
I have many questions to you. People, I would like to invite you to send your questions either by WhatsApp, right? Or you can send in the YouTube as well. And please, someone from Reaprendência who is helping us with this transmission, you can read the question to either to Leonardo or to me, okay? Ana Marcia Yogan, she can read to us the questions. And you who are watching us here live, you can ask your questions as well, okay? So Marcelo, let me bring you in. What motivated you to take on such a huge and challenging work?
Thanks, Eliane. And then before talking about the motivation, I just want to thank some people, some special people. First, William Klein, because without him, I wouldn't have the opportunity to jump in this project. Also to Leonardo for his trust. And then special thanks for the translators that worked with me, that volunteered with me on this book. That was Chris Totti, that did an amazing work, and also had Adino Praia, that did great contributions in some chapters. And then in addition to Mari Luna, and also to Natalia Escalada. So without them, would be very heavy to do this translation here. I was just organizer. Nobody does any project alone, okay? We do it together with other people. But talking about the motivation, well, I purchased the Portuguese version of the book. I was excited to read about it. And then I started reading it, and it was kind of a chapter after chapter reading. And then one day I was in my living room, I was reading the book, and I was so excited. I was having showers of energy. And then I was kind of connecting with João Ricardo's way of writing. And then I was so excited that I said, it would be so great to translate this book. But I thought with myself, somebody for sure it's already translating it, because this is a great book. And then I really get that motivation. And fast forward maybe 1 year after I had that inspiration about translating the book, I was doing the teacher's course from Reaprendência in Puerto Rico. And then I met for the first time William Klein. And then we were in a coffee break, we were chatting, and then he was talking about the book. And then I said, yeah, I read that. And then I thought that, it would be wonderful to translate it. And then William said, nobody's translated it. Well, we asked different people about to translate it, and we haven't got somebody that has the availability to do that. And then, yeah, okay, let's take the chance. And because, yeah, I had this inspiration, this desire to translate this book. I thought that it takes some time. It's like from the start of the project to now, I think that's almost 3 years. And then just to be thankful about the opportunity to work on it.
Very good, and thanks again for William Klein, because he always incentivizes us in the internationalization of conscienciology and all this. We know that we have a lot of his energies in this project, okay? So thanks, William. And I also want to remind you that Jaclyn Cowen was the one who did the final revision in the translation. She's a native speaker, and she's very detailed. She did a great job, amazing job, and researched a lot. She recorded a video, and I will try to put it here today, not now, but in a few minutes, we will try to connect with you guys with this video from Jaclyn. That is great, amazing. You will love it. And let's hope that is possible. Otherwise, I'll send you and I will put in our Instagram, okay? If in case we don't get to put the video today. And I have another question to Leonardo. Leonardo, why is it important to study the past and the history of parapsychism? What is your personal experience with this topic?
I was listening to what Marcelo was saying, and at my side of the story is very nice too, because I was searching for someone that would accept this challenge. So he was thinking about translating the book, and I was thinking about finding someone that would accept this responsibility. So it's a very nice teamwork. Thank you very much, Marcelo. And the importance of studying the history of parapsychism is, since that I started this project of translating, promoting this project and translating the book, and an interesting fact is that João Ricardo, the translating of this book to English was like a dream for him. But he even started this project of translating. We started from zero this project because we knew it would be very important part, or a very important step of this project. And since I started promoting this work, I realized that beyond the historical knowledge and the culture you acquire when you start studying the subject, the history, and you get a huge cultural, and it enriches your knowledge. But when you study the history of parapsychism, people find themselves in history. This is one of the most important facts in studying the history of parapsychism. So the book starts in tribal societies and goes through all kinds of groups that practiced the parapsychism in all history. So we have the ancient China, Egypt. We have like Celtics and Greek and Romans and all these groups that practiced a lot this kind of phenomenon. But when we study that, it's not just the knowledge. You can find yourself in some groups, that ones that you like most and the ones that you don't like so much. So this is like some clues you have to find where you were in your past lives. So this is a very good way of studying your past lives, and you can learn a lot from that, because when you study a group that you know, you feel that you live there, you can study their immaturities and bring it for your daily life today. So what kind of mistakes this group committed in the past that I have to avoid right now in this life? These behaviors are in the past, but now I'm in another moment, and I studying these groups, I can bring it to my actual my daily life and bring some knowledge and avoid some mistakes from the past. I think this is one of the most important things in the study of this. All these courses we made with so much students, I see this happening when people start studying the history this way, looking for their past lives. Nice.
Lots of connection with this phase, and also, as far as I understood, with the ancient Egypt as well. So it's very interesting to see how knowledge was in the ancient times and how it was developing throughout the times. And nowadays we have such great opportunities to study these topics, to study parapsychism without repression. We're allowed, we can study, we can evolve and develop these skills on ourselves without being repressed, right? So we are in a great moment. Let's enjoy. And I want to know, as a curiosity of mine, and I want the same question to Marcelo, if you recognized yourself in some of those groups. Of course, maybe more than one, but one that is most relevant for you. Okay, if you could tell us, it would be great.
I can tell. I recognize myself in almost all the groups in the book. But for me, I have a special connection with the Celtic people and the ancient Rome. These groups, I don't have doubts that I lived a lot of lives in this region near Italy and Europe. And every time I read these chapters, I feel all the connection with these groups.
Very nice. And how about you, Marcelo? Can you tell us?
Well, first, one question. I'm not sure if I mentioned Mario Luna's name when I was talking about the translators.
Yeah, you mentioned.
I mentioned, thank you.
Yeah.
Just to double check, to give the credits to everyone. I think also Rome. I think I feel a strong connection with Rome. And then I felt a lot of connections, not always positive, when you talked about the Christianity and also the Qataris times. That something that it came strong also. And not to mention China. China also had some kind of connection when I was reading about it.
Very nice, very nice. And we have a question from the audience. Ana Marcia, can you read us the first question?
Yes. Asking Leonardo and his opinion, what is the most important takeaway for the book that you hope international listeners will get from this work?
Better to repeat the question.
What's the most important takeaway from the book, Leonardo, in your opinion?
That you hope international listeners
that you get, that hopefully the international intermissivists will get from this work. What's the most important, relevant, the cherry of the cake?
to this encounter? To this event?
In the book, yeah.
Okay.
What's the main point you said, wow, that's really this book is important. That's why we are translating to more than 2 billion people, because if we consider that we are in, let's say, 8 billion people, and English is a lingua franca, we will reach many, many, many of the Earth population with this book, right? And that is about, I can say, according to my research, it's at least 20% of these 8 billion are English speakers, either as a second language or learners. So it's a lot of people. So what's the cherry of the cake?
The translation to English expand the reach of this research, because we have much more English speakers than Portuguese speakers. And one of our projects is to print some books and distribute in universities around the world. We will do that because we understand that this is important to people to know this way of thinking about the parapsychism. And one of the most important things about this book is one study that the author put in the book. Is a research from an anthropologist called Erica Bourguignon. And this anthropologist, she made research from almost 500 tribal societies. And in this research, she found out that almost 93% of these tribes used institutional ways of using parapsychism. And this is very important for us to know, because when you think about that, it's different from nowadays. Because I can have phenomena today, and I put in the internet, and someone in the United States, someone in China, someone in Australia see my video, and the communication is easy today. The information goes around the world in seconds. But when we think about the tribal societies, it's not that way. So we have tribal societies in all the world, in all the continents, in all the countries. And she made this study and saw this, the tribal societies had this kind of phenomena all the time, and they had names for this phenomena. And this is very hard to imagine all these 500 tribes having illusion without communication, the same illusion with no communication, because they have the same phenomena. They have the out-of-body experience, they have the clairvoyance, they have the communication with people who already died. So this kind of phenomena happens repeatedly in all the kinds of tribal societies in all over the world, in all the countries, in all the continents. So this shows us a phenomenon that is the parapsychism is universal. All the people, all the humans have parapsychism, and the book shows that. The book shows all these groups through history and thousands of years. They have the same phenomena. They describe the phenomena in a very similar way. Of course, you have cultural differences. You have like some things are different in the interpretation. The interpretation is different in these places. But when you see the phenomena, it's very, very similar in all these places around the world, and now in all these groups through history. So I think this is one of the main ideas of the book, that the parapsychism is universal, and all the groups have this kind of manifestation, these abilities and this in their lives. It's make part of their lives.
Please, Marcelo.
Yes, please. And then Melanie, one thing that's important is that traditionally, historians, they do not touch this subject. That's a taboo. So this work from João Ricardo, he made his best to make available in a scientific way a study about history of parapsychism that will be available for all the English speakers. And this opens opportunities for debates, courses, workshops, and people to continue studying on the topic, because it's not also exhaustive work, despite the fact that it's huge. But yeah, people can take from there and go deeper and learn more from the past to improve the future.
And people, I can tell you, the reading of the book is very good, very easy and smooth. The book is very well written, and you, for example, I read it with great pleasure. I didn't want to stop. I want to read the whole book at once. It's impossible because you have to do other things. But it's a very nice reading, I would say. Okay, and so another thing is the book will be available for purchase in Amazon, okay, Amazon.com, within a month, okay, because Editaris is making all the arrangements so that it is available for you as soon as possible. But in a month, I think it's a good time. And I have to mention as well, for the ones who are new in Conscienciology, that this book, since it was written in Portuguese and now as well, all the rights, the publishing rights, are donated to Editaris. There is the Conscienciological editing company, and all the profit of Editaris is directed to the production of new books and to the maintenance of institution. So we, from Conscienciology, we work as a volunteers. Every one of us, we are volunteers. We do volunteer work, and it's a great, how would they say, opportunity to all of us. We are very thankful to that. And all the books rights are donated to maintenance and publication of new books, because we do what we call clarification task, what we call claritest. We want to clarify the world about parapsychism, about multidimensional reality, bioenergetics, and cosmoethics, and much more. Okay, that is the consciential paradigm. So just for you to know, because we have new people watching us every day, and this is our proaxis, our existential program, our mission in life is to do the clarification task. I have some other question from the audience, and Ana Marcia, can you please bring your computer here so that we can read it too? Is this question for Leonardo and Marcelo? Okay, thank you very much. That's great. The question can you comment about the principles that tell us about psychism? That's very interesting question, Deborah.
Sorry,
what is the?
I couldn't hear.
Can you comment about the preface of the book? That is the parapsychism bring us power. Why is parapsychism the most coveted power? That's a great question.
Excellent question. This is important to think about, because today, let's say, we have all the kinds of physicians that works with health, for example. We have judges, we have like a society with all the kinds of professions and politicians. And when we go like thousands of years ago, the psychics occupied these places. So when we think about, for example, Druid in the Celtic groups, they were the physicians, the judges, the politicians. They occupied all these places in society. And in all the history, we have registered that people who had this ability of parapsychism, these people have the ability to see more, to listen more. You have like the sixth sense, and this gives power to these people, because when you didn't have like science, in some way the psychics were given the knowledge from the messages they received, and this had a lot of power in these societies. So when you have psychic abilities, you have information. When you have information, you have power in other people. You asked something?
Yeah, I have no, I just said they were the celebrities. Nowadays we have the
Yeah.
celebrities in Instagram doing their videos and, you know, and
We can think this
TikTok.
way.
And now they were the celebs, real celebs, because they were the parapsychic were searched by the politicians, by the authorities, queens and kings to give advice.
Yeah.
I have another question. Can I ask to Marcelo, Leonardo? Have you
Of course.
learned anything else to conclude this?
No, I was just saying that, for example, Marcelo told us that when he started reading about the Christianism or Catholicism, we had some movements in the history of religion that the objective was to not let the parapsychics express these abilities. So when you have a group that want to dominate other groups, one of the first things they do is not letting the parapsychic explore these abilities.
Yeah. And Leonardo, and when we study Catholicism, usually if we study the personalities within Catholicism that were parapsychic, they were considered saints.
Yeah.
They were considered that they were the
Exactly.
gifted ones. And we know that, and then they were sent to be different from the majority of people. But we all know that parapsychism is a natural ability, is a natural
Yes.
skills, and it is in our physiology. Okay, and that's a great question from Italo Gomes, and it's to Marcelo. Marcelo, can you talk a little bit about the counterflows you faced until this very moment? And also, what historical groups you had more connections with during the translations? I think you mentioned it.
Mentioned it a little bit. The counterflows, well, there were some chapters that they were more difficult to translate. But it was more in the sense of, when you see it, it is hard to translate, and then like you make like one paragraph or half a page of the book, and it's like takes forever. And some other chapters that you go simply and you have a better connection, then you translate like in 2-3 days. But one example is the tribal societies. Tribal societies, I think that they took like a 1.5 month to do the translation because it was very dense as you were reading it and translating it and looking for the right words in English, because the terms that you use in Portuguese are not necessarily the terms that it's used in English. So it was hard in that. Okay, it was a difficult one that it took a lot of energy to go through the translation. And then there are some others that were really easier, like conscientiology, the last one. Okay, I'm leaving it. And then there is a connection, strong connection. And then it flow very, very easily, very quick, the translation. But it's regarding the key thing about it's connected to when you're having difficulty to read it, sometimes it means that, hey, you have a past and some sort of recomposition that we did due to that particular group. Okay? And it's the key thing on that. So you just keep going and then trying to understand what you need to connect and what will be your thoughts, sentiments, and energies to go through it and then finish that particular chapter in a better way. But counterflow itself out from these difficulties of going easier or more difficult in some chapters, I felt a lot of assistance while I was doing the work, and then this gave me some strength to go even through the more difficult chapters, and then not to intrude myself with negative thoughts, and then just keep going, keep working on the translation. Some colleagues that were working on the translation as we were exchanging ideas, some of them, they had really some strong work of counterflows, depending on what the chapter that they were doing, the connection that they had with that particular chapter.
Very good. And Marcelo, I want you to make some connections with this book, with this knowledge, and the ancient people, the Native American, indigenous people. If you, during this translation, if you perceive it, because we are in the USA, they were the owners of the land. We can see that in some parapsychic dynamic, we feel their presence, their energy. And we suppose, even it was one of the topics we discussed here in the Intermissivists meeting today, that we perceived some of these consciences present here in this field, that they are very curious about conscientiology. They want to learn with us, and they want also to help us. So can you tell us what are your perceptions and connect the book with these indigenous peoples from the USA?
And then not always they learn from us, but also we learn from them. Okay, what are the strong traits of each one, the qualities of each one of these groups? And when we talk about original peoples, they are very present on the tribal societies chapter. Okay, that's one that you can see and talk about different groups from North America and from other regions as part of the group. And while I was translating it, I could feel this connection, the presence from extra-physical consciousness from this particular group from time to time during this 1.5 months there that I stayed in that particular chapter. It's, they are, let's say that they are willing to continue, okay? And then the past in the United States, we were not really treated in a proper way, okay? And then the Trail of Tears, that's one example. And you're talking here, not talking about 17th century or 16th century, you're talking about 19th century. So it's very recent, very recent. And then this is a connection that, and then is kind of a recomposition. It's important when we are talking about the original peoples here from the United States, and then the importance of this connection, learning from what it was their practice, and then understanding what was the improvement opportunities, and then keep studying and being an example for them and connecting in a positive, constructive way so they can continue the evolution with us.
Nice. And Leonardo, I have a question for you. And nowadays we see that people in general, mainly the young people, not all of them want to really to go into reading. People wanted fast things. They are watching fast videos, very short sense. They want image, they want music. Do you think, what could we do to make these young people, it's a huge challenge. Do you have any suggestions so that we could make them have some kind of look to these subjects that require reading, thinking, reflecting about subjects, because we always mention in conscienciology, don't believe in anything.
Yeah.
Have your own experiences, right? This is very important. What can you do? Because you are from this young generation. Let us know your thoughts about it.
I'm just a moment. I have the returning here. Today I have 33 years old. So when I look to the younger generations, this is I think it's a huge challenge. But we have to do some adaptations because this is the reality. We cannot obey the new generation to sit down and force them to read because there are some differences, generation differences. And on this, we are working in other projects that started with the book, but they're going to other projects. So we have the course. So we have like each group of history has some different classes, and for some people this is easier than start reading a book of more than 800 pages. But beyond that, we are working in scripting some episodes of an audiovisual series for streaming. So this is a work that can help the new generations too, because we're going to the audiovisual, and maybe in some years we can be in Netflix, who knows. And other work that we are doing is working in the social media, because if you say something that make this reflection on the younger generation, maybe he feels that, oh, okay, I have a strong connection with this group, so I have to study this group more. And this is a way of going to a deeper study and going to the book. But I think it's a path that starts with some superficial things and goes deeper until this new generation goes to the books. So we have to adapt to this new way of communication.
And do you plan to do a course in English about this book?
Yeah, we already have this course in Portuguese. This course has 20 classes. And now that we launched the book in English, the idea is to translate the course too. We have some teachers that can teach this course, and I think Marcelo is going to be in this project too, and Eliane, I think he's going to be in this project too. So now we already have this course, we have the presentation, we have everything. It's just the time to translate it and launch it in English.
I have a question to Marcelo from Melanie. Does the book address impact of religion on parapsychism through history?
Yes, that's one of the first things that João Ricardo writes in the book and discuss is a lot of people say, oh, you don't discuss religion. And then in this book, he came and said, yeah, we are going to discuss, because there is a lot of things phenomena that happens in related to parapsychism that happens inside also the religions. So the book covered the Christianity, Catholicism, Islamism, the Hebrews. Okay, just to talk about some of the
main religions,
monotheist religions that you have nowadays, but also it covers other religions too. Okay, and then that's part of it, because it covers like lines of knowledge, okay, initiation schools, and then also the religion. So anything that was related to parapsychism that we had during the history, he tried to cover as part of the scope of the book as the best as he could.
The Oriental religions too, like Hinduism, Buddhism.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, I have a great question here from Jefferson Taylor. Thanks, Jefferson. Leonardo, in your opinion, is this book a good starting point for people who are trying to better understand or develop their own parapsychism in a more lucid and balanced way? What do you think? Is it a starting point?
In my opinion, is one of the greatest ways to start this subject, because you have an overview of all kinds of interpretations of parapsychism. So yeah, I think it's a very good way to start this study.
And may I add something, Leonardo? It's also very good to, when you are studying the past lives, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
Like if you're studying serexology, that's a good reference to do evocations and understand and see if you have a connection with a particular group or not.
Yeah. You have this overview of the history, and here, maybe I lived here because I have a strong connection in this chapter. So you can do a timeline of your hypothetical past lives.
I was researching a lot about book on parapsychism, and there is no book in the world, because I looked for many books, no book in the world like this one, because we are really going through a lot of many lines of thoughts, many schools of knowledge, and there is a lot of information, content. It mentions the main representatives of each line, the main thinkers of each time, and this is a complete work, very comprehensive book, in fact, about the theme parapsychism. And it also, at the same time, because it's scientific
approach
bias, it de-dramatizes parapsychism, because it brings the information in a clean way. It analyzes both sides. So I think that's one of the highest points of the book, the de-dramatization of the process of parapsychism. And it brings us a tool for self-research. That is one of the pillars of conscienciology.
Can I add something, Eleni?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is the most complete book in the planet on the subject, and it took 15 years to complete this research. But this number, 15 years, don't say much. The book has more than 800 pages and more than 1.2 thousand references. So the level of study that the author gave to this project is huge. And in every chapter, so he do the research of this group, and he analyzes the parapsychism in each group. So he analyzes the positive things that we can bring to the modern days, but he brings to the mistakes they made, the immaturities. So he analyzes each group of history. So it's a very important work and study for everyone who is starting in this subject.
Marcelo, do you have anything to add about this?
Well, I would say
it's a good starting point.
Yes. Well, starting the starting point, it's especially also one thing that you can use. It's if you want to understand a little bit better one of the schools of lines of knowledge, you can take a look there and understand. And one point, as Leonardo said, since he does an analysis about the good and the weakness, the good points and the weakness of each one of the chapters, each one of the topics, it's good because, well, when you start to learn from the mistake of others, okay, you have a way to accelerate your own development. And that's the key thing with this book, that when you go back and you check exactly what was good and what was not so good in each one of the chapters and say, okay, how do I avoid that?
Yeah.
Marcelo, do you think the book closes with the chapter about conscienciology? Can you tell us what conscienciology brings in terms of expansion of parapsychism? Do you think it's a more evolved science? Do you think conscienciology helps us to understand this multidimensional reality in a more scientific way? What comes to your mind when you talk about closing the book, the whole history of parapsychism, with the science conscienciology?
The key thing is about observing what happened in the past and then check what we can do different in conscienciology. And a couple of things that you can do different, okay? First, principle of disbelief. Have your own experience, self-experimentation. And then as we have the self-experimentation, you avoid establish of any dogmas, okay? And you can renew your leading edge truths, updating them constantly. Well, we also can continue to develop new leaderships, because as you go, take a look on previous movements, one of the main problems that you had, it was a lack of renewal of the leaderships. And then this book also brings an invitation to the intermissivists that speak English, okay, to study conscienciology, and then it's the same way that you can study other lines of knowledge, but to study and then, yeah, bring a fresh breath, and then new ideas, and then whatever you have today in conscienciology will be history in 70 years. And then you continue to develop the science, and then that's when we make a difference. We make a difference the moment that you keep it as science, but a fresh one, always renew itself with new ideas from new people, and sometimes in the future, the same people that are coming back as a self-relay.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So I just want to ask Gabriel. Gabriel Pitch is in Reaprendência, Foz do Iguaçu. Gabriel, is it possible for us to watch Jaclyn's video that she recorded for us? If not,
yes,
we can.
It's possible.
It's possible. So please go ahead. It's very, very interesting video.
So my name's Jaclyn Cowen, and I helped with the revision of the book History of Parapsychism. So for me I would just like to mention a little bit about my experience. It was a great pleasure working on this huge book, right? More than 800 pages, and it was a challenge, and I really had to plan and think carefully how I was going to work on this revision in the best way possible, so that I would be able to finish in the time that was allocated, and produce the best work that I could. So there were, with a book of this size, and I had to really break it down into the different chapters, like work chapter by chapter. And for me, it was really interesting. Maybe I'll talk a bit about the process of how it was to work with this book. So, for example, this book has so many details, and it's so well historically researched, and you really had to have a certain awareness and knowledge about these different areas. And as I was going through the book, I would research a little bit, and also in terms of the revision process, it was just so many details, and you had to always just check to see that, that even little things like capital letters for the different groups and the movements, and is it lowercase or uppercase, and sometimes for some groups it was uppercase, other groups were lowercase. So there was a bit of research that went into this. Many other details that had to be resolved, and I kept like a kind of a checklist or check sheet that so that every time it repeated in the book that I'd come back to that, and I'm like, okay, I revised it in that way. So to maintain that standardization process, to make it uniform across the book, that was also a priority of mine. But I really greatly enjoyed the process, and and I had many different experiences as well throughout. Because you're working with a book that its main focus objective is parapsychism, so you can't help but have parapsychic experiences. And for me, it helped me to connect to my parapsychic identity, that part of myself which has had past lives in those groups, that were talked about. And, there's such a wide range of different groups. And, once I would start, and it's in a chronological order, so I'd start with the first groups, and I'm like, yes, I can see myself there. I'm identifying, having different synchronicities. And this was one thing as well, that the more I was connected with the group, the more synchronicities I have, the more experience I would have, after going to sleep, and many and projections or lucid dreams about this topic. So this was for me a self-research. It was like I could see myself how I responded, I reacted to the content, and use that as a means to identify my connection to the group. So that was also very interesting. I had, there were synchronicities, there were, the affinity that I felt, there was even retrocognition that I had, and that was very interesting. And also another aspect was for me, the fact that the author had already decimated or was a concierge. For me, this was interesting to work with a book where you felt there was a closer connection to, through, because of that evocation process, you're revising the book. And so inevitably you're evoking the concierge author. And so for me, that was very interesting as well, to perceive that in various moments, and feel connected to the author of the book, João, right? João Ricardo. And so that was very interesting. So that was a different experience for me. So all I can say is that, it's a great read. It's very worth, buying the book and really taking the time to understand, how parapsychism was for all these different cultures, and to go deep into your own self-research, and understand your parapsychic process. So, good reading to all, and congratulations for the publication of the book. And I would like to thank also, the family of João Ricardo, Leonardo and his mum, and also Marcelo, for that support, and the invitation, and for me to work on this book. So thank you guys, and happy reading. So my name's Jaclyn Cowen.
Very good.
Back.
So we are back. Thank you, Jaclyn. She's amazing. Well, people, and so we come to an end. So, Leonardo, do you have any closing words for today?
Yeah. Our next step right now is to expand this international reach of the book. We will probably launch the course in English in a few days, so stay tuned. And we're continuing to share these ideas, these interpretations, these reflections presented in the book. And to finish, I would like to thank again everyone. As I said, it's a very, very important moment, special moment for me and for my family, because we didn't know we could do this translation so quickly. I thought it would take like 5 years to do this translation, and you guys did an amazing job doing this like in 2 years. So congratulations, and thank you very, very much for that.
Thank you, Leonardo. Thanks for joining us today, for this opportunity for us all. And I would like also to thank Reaprendência team, William, Gabriel, and all the volunteers that helped us in a way. And Marcelo, what are your final words for your closing words?
Well, I also want to thanks again all the translators. Without them, would not be possible to do this project in a so short period of time. And also Jaclyn for her great revision. And then I share the same thoughts from Leonardo, that this is an opportunity to, with a work of this quality, to bring these ideas to a broader group of English speaker people. Okay, so important thing is not only to translate it and launch the book, but also to have all these activities that Leonardo is mentioning about courses. And then, yes, I also accept the invitation to deliver the course in English, my friend.
We are already
Awesome.
training Leonardo for the course, because tomorrow we have a research seminar here in the Intermissivists meeting, and we are going to debate 4 chapters of the book. We have
Nice.
some people who are going to present. I will be one of them. And we have also Ítalo Gomes, Marcelo Pires, and Ana Márcia. And I can't wait for tomorrow, because we will discuss a lot. It will be closing basically our event. And in the afternoon, we will have a roundtable about the future of conscienciology in the USA that we plan to discuss. But the final technical activity will be this seminar. Okay, so we are very happy with that as well.
Very nice.
So that's
You're
it.
doing an amazing job, guys. You're doing an amazing job. Congratulations. And what chapters are you going to discuss tomorrow?
Me, Hermeticism and Witchcraft, which I like it very much, the chapter. It's amazing. Ana Márcia Yogan will be presenting the Chinese. Marcelo is going to talk about?
I'm going to talk about the chapter 3 that explain about the book, and also Qataris.
And Ítalo Gomes is going to talk about tribal societies. Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay. So people, thank you very much. Hope to see you soon. And happy reading for everyone. Buy the book. You will love it. Okay.
Thank you all.